Welcome back, everyone. Welcome also everyone on the new YouTube link. Those who are watching us online, please be noticed that the documentary we're about to see here live in Kino Šiška is available for you on Vimeo link that should be seen somewhere at the bottom. So if you want to see the documentary, please check it out down there. Otherwise, we're going to see the documentary film, short documentary film called Paint to Change, and afterwards we're gonna hear more about it. Enjoy the screening. Okay, so welcome back, everyone, those in person and those who are with us on the who are with us online via YouTube. Welcome back. That was just the beginning of the second part of our conference this year. Yeah, we were talking about the power of youth. This is what the documentary was all about. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I checked before the conference how old is Greta Thunberg right now, and she's not that young anymore. She just turned 20 on January the 3rd. So let's hope for some new generations to come by as well. According to the documentary, we have quite some of them, and we will hear more about it from Nebojša Glišić, JAFE project coordinator at the B92 Fund. And I believe Anita Hrast is also with us, founder and general manager of IRDO Institute for the Development of Social Responsibility, and also producer of the film Maziar Bahari. So they will tell us more about the responsibility of social responsibility in the area of street art for climate and diversity. So I hope, Nebojša, can you hear us?
Yes. I'm with you.
Yes, okay. Can we maybe see you as well? Can you turn on the camera? Yes, okay, great to have you. And Anita, I would also invite you to join us. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry, just to check, Maziar, can you hear us as well? We can see you now.
So my name is Salim Vinecore. I'm a colleague of Maziar's. Maziar has been delayed because of something urgent. He runs a news website when he's not doing the Youth Art for the Change project, and I think there's been some urgent news. So I'm sorry that he's not here, but I'm here to fill in.
Okay, as long as you have all the information, we are very glad to have you. Thank you.
We'll find out.
Hello, Salim and others. I'm Anita. Thank you, Pia, for our introduction. I don't know if you see me well. Okay. Salim, you will be the moderator of our panel, so I will give you the word.
Thank you. Well, I'm very delighted that this project, the Youth Art for the Earth project, which was started by a group called Paint the Change, is able to be at the Street Art Festival and Conference in Ljubljana. I myself have a long connection to Slovenia, so I'm very delighted to be with you virtually, not in person, unfortunately. And apologies again that Maziar is not here. He was going to join, but then something urgent came up at the last minute. But I understand that you just saw the film, Power to the Youth, and I hope you enjoyed it. This film, of course, is about a project called Paint the Change, which was produced during the pandemic, actually, during the lockdowns in 3 countries, the United Kingdom and Greece and Serbia. And we'll hear in a moment from Nebojša to speak about the experience in Serbia and also the upcoming project. But the purpose of this project, as you saw in the film, is really to use the power of public art, street art, and the open, free space of educational workshops for young people, combining them together to empower young people to talk about personal and social issues that affect them, that they feel are important, that perhaps they don't have a space to talk about elsewhere, and also to then express the ideas and the discussions that take place in these workshops as a piece of public art, as a mural, which then has an ongoing positive effect for the wider community. So the project, which took place during the pandemic in these 3 countries, now is going to happen again on a new theme, which is environmental sustainability. And it's taking place in 3 countries: Slovenia, Serbia, and also France. And then my organization, Paint the Change, which is based in the UK, is assisting in a consultant role. So we're obviously here to share with everybody at Kino Šiška and online, the Street Art Conference, that this project is coming to Slovenia, to invite people to participate and to hear both from Anita Hrast, who is directing the project for Youth Art for the Earth in Slovenia, and also from Nebojša, who is based in Serbia, who is the project lead. So perhaps we could hear first from you, Nebojša, to talk a bit about how your organization came into the project, what was done previously, and also your plans in Serbia. And then, of course, we'll speak with Anita as well.
Great. Thank you, Salim. So the idea came out something before COVID emerges in 2019, and then we started the first project, Paint the Change, in Serbia, and actually there's always a difference between those things that you've been planning and things that you find out when you're on the ground. So when we started communication with kids on the ground, and we figure out that it's quite common that practically nobody asked them anything about their attitudes, about what are they thinking about the world, about the things that are surrounding them. And then we figure out through that project that kids have a positive attitude and also willingness to change things around them. And that was something that triggered us to move forward after the COVID and after the finished first project, to continue this thing on the next level, and to deal with ecology and sustainability as problems. So the thing is, in Serbia, during the first project, due that we've been heavily impacted by the migration wave, so we have been prepared for that. And as you know, that Serbia as well as Slovenia has been a part of the conflict in ex-Yugoslavia, and people just didn't have opportunity to talk about many of the topics. So we've been practically focused on the things that happen between us, but not around us. So what had happened during this COVID pandemics, and during the first project, that we basically started communication about migrants, about other ethnicities, other religions, other opinions with kids, and we wanted to wake that a need for communication about these things, about these people among youth, because most of them were practically focused on school, on these new challenges that are in front of them. And then through this talk and through these topics, we practically want to switch their focus and then to wake them up about these things that is happening around them, and also to build their trust for the others, but also their tolerance and their anti-discrimination attitude. So that was what was happening in the first project. But then on the new one, we want to tackle new issues. Yeah, hopefully, I was clear enough.
Thank you so much, Nebojša. And perhaps, Anita, you could tell us about how you came to know about the project, obviously, in terms of not just through the personal connection, but how it relates to the work of IRDO. Obviously, it would be good to know a bit about your institute in Slovenia and the theme that we will be exploring with the project in Slovenia.
Thank you very much, Salim. Thank you, Nebojša, for explaining about the project shortly. Yes, I know Salim for several years already, and he suggested to make a project in Slovenia. IRDO Institute is located now in Ljubljana, but it was established in Maribor 19 years ago, and we are focused to sustainability and social responsibility, and we wanted to do the raising awareness campaigns on the topic of sustainability and social responsibility, and there was no money for this, so after 19 years now we can do it with a very interesting communication channel like street art is. And I'm very happy that we can be part of this project, that Salim, Nebojša, Maziar and others, and Atma from France and colleagues can collaborate. What we will do within this project, we will produce 2 murals in each city, one in Ljubljana and one in Maribor. And we will do also before this workshops with youth, like you saw in the film before, Paint the Change. And we will also do the film production. And Salim and Maziar are producers somehow of those kind of films. And Nebojša you also saw, and Atma in the film before. So we are very glad that we can do it, and of course, I'm not familiar with this kind of art, you know, I'm not an artist. And thankful, there is a street festival in Ljubljana, and Dr. Sandy Abram with his colleagues, they know a lot of it, how to do it, so we connected, and we will do the first mural in September in Ljubljana with Chibo, I hope. So this is it.
Thank you, Anita. Yes, if you could tell us a bit about give us some detail about the plans in September in Ljubljana. You mentioned Ciccio, this is the Italian artist. You could tell us a bit about him and what he will produce, and if you could tell us about where the mural will be produced as well. And I think more importantly, because of the interests of the street art conference, it would be interesting for the three of us to discuss how these murals will come about. So perhaps, Anita, if you tell us a bit about what your plans are in Ljubljana, and then maybe Nebojša, you can tell us more about the process that these workshops and murals go through.
Okay, thank you very much. It is Chibo, Italian artist, about food. It will be the topic, waste food. We have already some of the drafts, and with help of Sandy, we will do this mural on one of the municipality buildings, I think here near the Šiška, Kino Šiška neighborhood building. And workshops will be done with 15 to 20 youth. Half of them should be from disadvantaged groups and half of them not disadvantaged. And there will be, I think, 4 days of workshops with including street tour, also discussion, youth activism topics on the waste food and so on. So maybe more about the common, approach to the topic. I would ask Nebojša, as a manager of the project, to explain how it will be in the all the cities included in the project and all the countries, because it is the same approach, I think. Nebojša, if I can.
Yes. So our idea is practically to develop a curriculum. So as in the school, so we want to make some unofficial teaching material for the activist groups, for the willing professor and teacher in the schools who want to make something additional in educational sense with their kids. So we want to develop this curriculum, and in order to develop this curriculum, we want to test different methodologies in these 3 countries, participating countries. So each of the country is totally different when we are watching from the perspective of this ecology and sustainability matter. So in Serbia, we have circumstances of really polluted air and a serious problem of the attitude toward the ecology and ecosystem, and that thing, of course, differs in Slovenia and differs in France. So we want to use these differences in order to achieve that universal approach within curriculum that could be applied in any country in the world. So basically, we want to develop this teaching material, and this teaching material will be used and will be, open source material that anyone can use who wants to teach something about ecology. So we have those within the curriculum. We have the universal elements, and then we'll have the elements that are localized and that are addressing the local issue, local problem. So in Serbia, we will address, for example, the air pollution. And then in Slovenia, we will address food waste. And for example, in France, we'll address something totally different. So the idea is to develop these universal elements, and these universal elements will be based on this, let's say, common knowledge about ecosystem and the things that we can do and things that how we should behave in order to achieve sustainable society and better ecosystem. And then second part will be developed in a way that we will make a sort of recommendations for the educators, how they can apply this curriculum in their countries, in their cities. So that's the idea of the project, and in the upcoming year and a half, we will practically work on this curriculum in the way that we will be testing different methodologies in Slovenia, France, and Serbia, and in each country we will test the curriculum and methodologies in 2 cities. So we'll have 2 cities in Slovenia, 2 in France, and 2 in Serbia. And we'll have one coordinator that will practically make this curriculum. That coordinator will get the input from different educators, will be applied to methodologies in the cities, and then they will reflect the attitude of the participants of the workshops in a way that this attitude will be fixing this core material, this universal element of the material, and then in the end, hopefully, we'll have the curriculum that will be that open source material for different educators around the world who are having the will to teach the kids about ecosystem and ecology.
Thank you, Nebojša. So it's very interesting. I think we can maybe also talk a bit about the outcomes. And Nebojša, you can speak from the experience in Serbia, and Anita, you can speak to what we're hoping to achieve in the coming year and a half in Slovenia. Because obviously, Nebojša, what you've described is a system where a group of activists identify a topic in a broad sense. And in the case of this project Youth Art for the Earth, we've looked at environmental sustainability. Then that topic is adapted for partner countries in a way that makes it locally relevant. So obviously Serbia, Slovenia have different challenges that they want to address. And in Serbia, we're talking about air quality. And in Slovenia, we're talking about food sustainability and food waste. And as you said, in France, it'll be a different take on the topic. But it's at the same time a global topic, which has global relevance. And then a trained educator adapts this theme into a very structured curriculum. This curriculum is given to educators who work with artists and who hold workshops for youth predominantly from vulnerable backgrounds, people who don't have access to the same educational or economic opportunities as perhaps the mainstream of society, but also not exclusively people from those backgrounds. It's an open program. And then they come together, they have the workshop, they discuss, they express their discussions through creative initiatives, visual creative initiatives, through creativity. And the artist and the educator are able to then take that work and translate it into the mural, and they apply that mural design to they create that mural in the public space. So in your experience from the previous program in Serbia, Nebojša, how did you find this model, which is an innovation that has emerged over time with Paint the Change? How did you find this created new opportunities for young people in terms of self-expression and creative thinking, capacity building? What kind of change did you see over time? And then also when the mural was produced in the neighborhoods, what effect did you see that the mural had on the neighborhood?
So the first thing that I practically noticed, and that was also a part of the idea, how we managed to create the idea about the project, is that we basically want to deconstruct some of the big words, some of the stigmas, in the everyday narrative. So when in previous project we've been thinking about, let's say, tolerance and discrimination and non-discrimination. And then now we are talking about ecology. These words have been mentioned, in everyday life quite often. So for the youth, in most of the cases, they become, automatically, excluded as soon as they hear these terms around them. So then we are using the hook, and the hook is the contemporary art, it's the street art. And we are using this hook in order to, to jointly deconstruct these terms, and then to figure out and to dig deeper into this phenomena around them. And that's the way how we managed to grasp their attention, because previously we've been losing them, and it is really hard for us, to within the educational system as a whole, it's really hard to catch with this new trends, and it's hard to get the attention from the youth. So these rules are basically our method to get their attention, and then to work on the important topics in our local communities. The effect that we see is first and foremost the the widening of their attention and their scope of the understanding of the contemporary world around them. So we are getting their attention back to some of these really important issues in their communities. We are making them aware of other people, because the way of living, their way of living is a bit different, than the one that we get used to, and it's much needed for us to get this attention back on the people, on the humans around them. So as far as I can see, some of the effects were quite instant. As soon as they articulate the idea for the mural, you can see that they've been really thinking about these things. And during this process of communication with the mentor, but also with the muralist, you can see that they've been really thinking about these things. And then when they need to articulate the idea, you can say that they already made some progress. And then having this picture on the wall is also sort of a reminder for them to get back on this topic that we've been passing through the process. And that is something that I can say that is the end. And the add-on, this new project, is how we will create and the paint that we want to use. We want to use this paint that is have the effect of clearing negative pollution from the air, and it will be also affecting through the media the communication of the whole project, and the idea that we are helping community, not just with the message that we are sending, but also practically with the paint that is clearing the air. Yeah. So those are the things that have been noticed through the process in the first and the second project. Some of these are overlapping, and there is always something new that we are trying to add as a sort of adjustment.
If I may add here something.
Please, Anita, yes.
Yeah, thank you. I see the murals like a communication tool, which is helping us really raising awareness on the topics of sustainability in this case. And if we want that people have higher consciousness about the topic, we have to inform them about the topic. What is the problem? Why we should buy not plastic bottle, but from the other materials, why we should do the different steps in our lives, because we have to change our habits. If we want to change our habits, we have to think about what we are doing wrong. But if we do not know what we are doing wrong, we cannot change this. So the information is the basics, and then with the appropriate tool like murals we can give the emotional part through the art to the citizens what is wrong in the society, and so they can absorb this information in their emotional part of the life, and then they can change their habits. So only through the right communication, in this case with art and communication through workshops, we can change our attitude. And this is the basics to change the world. If we change ourselves, then we can change the world too.
Thank you, Anita. I think that insight is really very profound and speaks to the value of doing something that is both serving the individual and serving society, because it gives people participating. And this is speaking also for the mentors and the educators and the project managers, as well as the young people in the workshops. It gives everybody a chance to have a personal process of learning, and then also a social role in making a positive contribution. And I think more and more communities of different types are realizing that men and women, that humanity is organic with the world, that our inner lives are shaped by the world around us, and also that we shape the world around us.
Yeah, and our values, are the basics for our attitudes, If we know what are our values, and if we change them towards more sustainability, then we can change also the work that we are doing, activities. And you said about outcomes that will come from the project. Maybe you can present them, because I know that there will be murals, there will be also video and workshops and curriculum.
Yes, of course. I'm happy to do that as I sum up on behalf of my colleagues, if I may take that liberty, because I think we're probably out of time. So as Anita Nabosha said, there will be 2 murals in each of the countries that the project is taking place in. So 2 murals in Slovenia, 2 in Serbia, and 2 in France. In Slovenia, they will be in Ljubljana and in Maribor. In Serbia, I'm not sure exactly, but I know that we're looking at towns where quality of air quality is particularly problematic, and it's a really very pressing concern on the minds of those local communities. And in each case, obviously, there will be a workshop that leads up to the mural. So there will be a workshop and then a mural, and then the creation of the mural will be communicated, publicized through mainstream traditional media, for example, broadcast television, newspapers, and so on, and also through social media, through a lot of videos that we will be producing. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, our Instagram account is Paint the Change Global. The Youth Art for the Earth initiative and projects will all be covered there. And of course, IRDO and B92 and Urban Art Paris, the partner in France, all have social media accounts as well. And you can find all those details through our website, paintthechange.me. And beyond these physical outcomes, the workshops, the murals, and the publicity, our hope is that the discourse, the conversation will be amplified around these topics, and that communities will take on a greater measure of consciousness, but also not just consciousness, a sense of capacity of being empowered to play a role, a positive role in the change that they would like to see. Because this is really meant to be a collaborative process where the young people, first through the communities and then through the wider neighborhoods where the murals are produced, all play a role in the discussion. This is not something that happens by external people who come in, produce something, and go away. And for the people who particularly follow street art closely as a discipline in the room at Kino Szyszka, this is one of the great lessons that we have learned specifically on street art as well, that it's one thing to have a positive message and to use an external artist who blows into a community, just comes into a community, produces it, and goes away again. It's as likely as not that this message will not connect to the community because there is no community process. Whereas if you have an artist who may or may not be from the neighborhood, but who is engaged in a process with the community, with young people, with adults over a period of days or weeks, then the community becomes invested and participates, and then the positive message is amplified not just by the mural, but by the people themselves. And so street art that becomes indigenous to a place, whether it involves people who live there or people who work with people who live there, is, I think, a great advancement in the way street art can function in the physical space. So I think I've said everything that I can say. I don't know if my colleagues would like to add anything to close, but
maybe we can questions, answers.
Of course, yes, questions. Yes, if there are any questions.
If we have time, Pia. Yes. Okay. Maybe if there is any question.
Maybe a quick question about the previous projects that were already happening in the cities. So can you speak a little bit about the challenges? So since it's quite a big production that involves like many actors and like a long also planning process. So what were basically the challenges that you encountered? One obvious that was also in the documentary was the pandemic, but yeah.
Well, I can speak briefly about London, and then perhaps Nabosha can speak about Serbia. Of course, the pandemic happened right in the. Our project was just starting right when the pandemic happened, and we completely lost the thread of what we were going to do. All our plans were suddenly in disarray because lockdown was imposed. And everybody remembers that at the early stages of lockdown, nobody knew anything in terms of what was going on, how long it was going to last, what we were able to do, how dangerous it was. So we pivoted the whole project to being principally online in terms of our workshops, and we were able to engage many thousands of young people through the online project. And in the film, I think we see to some extent the project in London where we took advantage of being online only to encourage more submissions from more members of the public. So it became larger than just the workshops. Eventually, we were able to have some in-person workshops outdoors and with masks and various other precautions. But that adaptability led us at least to being able to include more people and to ultimately end up in each country with quite monumental murals. In London, we had a huge piece across a major cultural center. And in Greece, I've seen the murals myself personally in Greece. They're very large, they're very beautiful. And in Serbia, they're also very significant pieces. So I think we were able to overcome that by just being quick to turn to the online space and being imaginative about how to use it. And then in terms of planning, I think each country is different in terms of the level of planning permission necessary. In London, we had a very easy process. Other countries might take longer. But what mattered in each case was having the community's local support, even more than the authorities, I think. Nebojša, if you want to speak to more to that in Serbia.
Well, it's sort of different because we didn't have the support of the local community, not that good one as we saw it in Greece and the UK. But anyway, I can say that working in the non-governmental sector is always asking you to be adaptable. So this situation with the COVID basically just provoke us to be, like more inventive with the methods how we can prevail this problem in front of us. So yeah, it moved our plans. So the timeline was totally disrupted, and that was more or less the biggest problem that we were facing in the procedural way. But then in a practical way, the willingness of people to see each other, in a physical space during the wall painting and some of the workshops was really big during the COVID. So that even helped us in some cases. But I can say that we really adapted to the situation quite fast, and we were successful. And if I remember well, we didn't even ask for the extension of the time, so we managed to do the whole thing in the timeline as we planned in the beginning before COVID.
Okay, so I think we are out of time. Thank you very much, Selim. Nebojša, I go now, and thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you, Anita.
Okay, so if you were looking at the schedule very in details, you might have seen that Miguel should be with us now, but we are going to skip that because unfortunately he won't be able to attend the conference today. So we are continuing with another native Slovenian artist who you maybe know because he has been crossing the street. He showed us where the border between Croatia and Slovenia is, and he actually got very famous here in Slovenia because of literally pigeon shit. So I invite the Miha Artnak to talk more about his new project called Politism.
Hey, let's check. All right. Full screen. There's no, I'm gonna do it without. All right, thanks for inviting me. I'm gonna talk about Politism, which is the third project from my series called Real Life. Real life is some sort of performance that I've adjusted after the first fake news that I launched and turned it into a narrative that now I'm continuing. I'm just gonna go to the next slide. It's post-truth era, and there's zero accountability. There's toxic individualism. Money is more than people. Pollution and climate change is on the rise. Nobody cares anymore. Fake news spreads faster. We're all jacks of all trades. Cynicism is the most prevailing ideology, and fast food content is like every day, all day. So I'm an artist that I use my skills to highlight the problems within the system, but my outlandish views may not be appreciated equally by everyone. The narrative is like from the series. This is the short description. So the real life is a series of docu-reality performances, which through art, performances, trolling, and fake news, I challenge accepted truths and vulnerability of the existing system. So last year I introduced the first two parts where I sold the pigeon shit and media bought it, and then the Bitcoin city that also became really viral fake news all over the world. So this year I'm going to introduce politism. A bit of an intro. I've been doing street art, I don't know, since 2005 or 4, and I used also trash and already used media to make a statement. This was in 2010 in front of European Parliament in Brussels, and it was made out of, this was actually in Guinness World Records, made out of the most plastic bags. This was made in the desert, also from the plastic bags. This was made from the CDs. But the main point that I noticed was that this is just, it's nice for portfolio, it's good, looks nice. People say, wow, can I take a photo, stuff like that. But nobody is aggravated. I think it actually serves the status quo even more if I virtue signal. So I was thinking about trolling, and I did this video. It's a 1 minute long. I'm not sure if the sound will be on, but it's just music, so we'll see. But for the next video, I would really appreciate if there would be sound. All right, so cool. This is the video I published on Facebook and paid a little bit to be sponsored. This was some footage when I was in training in desert. I was in residency, putting my sculptures as street art. So I invented this movement called politism, where you've probably seen my art. I'm installing it all over the world. This is 3D sculptures. And it's in the narrative of this bullshit short video media on Facebook that we scroll and don't even think about is it fake or not. And the responses I got were, of course, I asked, is this art or trash? Of course, only 8% said it's art. I got almost 120,000 views, but there was also people that kind of liked the joke, and they were saying that everybody's an artist in our country and stuff like that. When I repeated this 2 years later in Slovenia, because the project wasn't that mainstream, I got a little bit more hate. So this was, I decided to categorize this politism not just in this fake news performance. So I also did, from the fake news perspective, the same as I did with the previous fake news. This is the fake domain, the guadrain.com. I bought it with my friend, and we basically used the same design from The Guardian. and I shared the link on Facebook, and you can read this whole story, which of course I wrote it by myself. And it looks like I was interviewed as a genius that I did for the plastic revolution, and this is becoming quite a trend, using the images from Albania, from the seaside, saying that this is art, and this was intent as art, not as pollution. So this is a statement, and we should all just join in this movement and be and create more anger and revolt amongst people, because we're just fooling ourselves with being with the plastic straws and stuff like that. We should put more pressure on the industry and away from the individual guilt. So this was an article on the Guadrain that I shared. And then the street art sculpture, the movement was also, this was, I'm not going to show the whole video, but a lot of friends helped with the performance, and this was used in stories. So this is, it's hashtag politism. You can join the movement if you want. Basically, what you need to do is just have some sort of attitude when you put it down. It should be, it's just the attitude. That's the performance. This is a lot of these videos. I'm not gonna wait till the end, because I also frame artworks from now on. The category is pop art, of course. Nice images, nice photography makes trash look amazing. And I'm actually selling this, and I've sold quite a few. Found trash. I also do art as a service, so you can bring me your own trash. I frame it and sell it back to you, so we can make a deal. And this, I tried it also. This is in process. I'm trying to add, of course, the blockchain component to it, so you get a certificate that this is not A trash, but the D trash. The ones you have, then it's not fake one. It's actually by me, so the blockchain will prove it. The ready-made sculptures, I introduced this concept beside the ready-made sculptures on streets are, of course, street art, but not in fine art. So when I had an exhibition, of course, I used the ready-made sculptures as well. This one looks like Corona. It's actually dog's toy. It looks really nice. And of course, you cannot avoid the memes. And yeah, this is the project. And the next one, I would just, because the next spokesperson is going to also tell us a little bit about NFT. So this is the fifth performance from the series, and which I addressed the hyperinflation around the corner with the excessive money printing. So I also did a video, but this time, even though it's in the same manner, it was actually a campaign for my NFT project. So I kind of combined the in between the truth and lying and presented it. It's also 1 minute long. and as you can see, the video from the video, I destroyed the money. Of course, I sacrificed my own money for the sake of saving the economy, and I sold. I was selling 137 coins, euros, dollars, pounds, and even yuans. And this is what you get, and I was promoting it on Twitter. A friend of mine helped me also to find a nice marketplace and to say the right things on Twitter. And I sold it actually in 1 second. And this is the. I'm going to show you the video and then I'm going to tell you. It's 30 seconds.
NFT 项目 Flat Fiat 通过火车压扁硬币的方式来防止恶性通货膨胀，1天之内就被抢购一空。艺术家 The Miha Artnak 非常高兴，并要感谢社区朋友和他的女朋友对他的信任。
Yeah, she was bought on Fiverr, and it's actually that's what she does. She's like the news anchor lady that you tell her what to say. And if it's in Chinese, nobody gets it, and the appearance is even bigger. It helped me with this narrative that I'm continuing, but this time it was. I shouldn't lie. I just troll, because if I lie and if I'm in crypto, then I'm a scammer, and it's a bit different. So I was really careful, trying to be funny but still be truthful, so nobody got hurt, or I would answer some. It's delicate. So this was presented in Axioma Gallery. All the burnt coins, so you know that they're not 3D renders, and the exhibition tells us even more. And I think after that, this is we're coming to an end.
V galeriji Axioma pa so sinoči kot enkraten dogodek predstavili numizmatično razstavo umetnika D. Mihe Artnaka. Kovanci, odstranjeni iz obtoka in spremenjeni v NFT umetnine, so del njegovega najnovejšega projekta Flat Fiat, s katerim se ironično bori proti hiperinflaciji in se zavzema za uporabo nove decentralizirane kriptovalute.
Razstavljenih je 137 kovancev, ki jih je umetnik Miha Artnak v sarkastičnem boju proti hiperinflaciji odvzel iz obtoka in sploščil pod kolesi vlaka.
Želel sem si poleg evrov še vključiti dolarje, funte in celo en kitajski yuan. Razstavljam jih pa zaradi tega, ker je neka besedna igra tudi vključuje ta proof of burn, torej dokaz o tem, da so dejansko izgoreli, uničeni, umaknjeni iz cirkulacije in da ne gre zgolj za rendre, katere bi lahko pač preprosto naredil.
Sploščene kovance je namreč skeniral, računalniško obdelal in iz njih ustvaril NFT umetnine. S tem je zbirki kovancev spremenil osnovo iz fiat valute oziroma običajne denarne valute v kriptovaluto.
Ves namen kriptozgodbe je decentralizacija. Razlog, zakaj je nastal, je bil pač upor bankam. In za decentralizacijo, torej nimamo posrednikov vmes in omejeno število valute, kot je bilo včasih vezano na zlato, je tokrat programsko rešeno. Kaže na to tudi, da je bolj premišljen sistem, bolj pravičen sistem. Seveda je pa zato, ker so si lahko le privilegirani to privoščili na začetku, spet samo preslikan kapitalizem.
Umetnik, znan po ustvarjanju lažnih objav v svojem delu, zagotavlja, da je pri tem projektu to vrstne metode uporabil zgolj pri promociji in da je zbirko NFT kovancev dejansko v hipu razprodal.
Yeah, that's true. And I was also invited to be in an online exhibition besides that, and featured in ArtNet, and I'll leave you with the meme and questions and answers, and maybe the next speaker can come up.
Okay, any questions maybe? Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Miha. I think you produced our golden fish for Magdalena Award. Sorry, I couldn't recognize you.
Yeah,
Congratulations for your work.
Years.
And I would like to ask you about greenwashing. You know, now with a lot of directives on European Union level and also in Slovenia, there will be prohibition to say that you are sustainable and that you are doing sustainable work, but you are definitely not working on it. So there will be some penalties. What about the rights at your work? How are you broken them? Law and others, and how you manage this part?
Which one?
Which kind of rights? Respect of legislation, respect of values, and so on.
In politism or in
yeah,
in
with
NFT?
these campaigns that you are working on. You said that you are a liar shortly too, that you are washing somehow something.
I mean, I'm using reverse psychology and the hustle mentality with, you know, walking the line like Borat, Ali G, Nathan Fielder. I think I'm in that category, the parody law. So I'm kind of safe because as long as I'm not selling, except the ones campaign that I was selling, I was just using that from the humor part. But whenever I'm outside the market, I think I can basically do what I want by not hurting anybody.
So art is protecting you somehow, and congratulations for that you dare to talk about this on this way.
Yeah,
Wow.
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else, maybe? No? I was also wondering with the politism, since this is a performance, did you let the art stay in the place, or did you? It was just a performance, so you cleaned up afterwards.
Thanks for ruining the element of surprise. Of course, I cleaned it up. I'm not a douchebag, but I wanted to. I didn't want to show that, you know, because then it would be just, you know. Of course, he cleaned it up. It's just a simulation. How not to be. Still act appropriate. So I really wanted to get those angry comments and, you know, get people to think about, besides me, also about the pollution and, you know, finger pointing besides me, also somebody else. So, yeah.
If I remember correctly, did you had also an exhibition, politism exhibition? Could you tell us a little bit more about that? How did that look like?
I had an exhibition in Kran, Lajareva Hiša, and I think it went well, but of course it was too far from Ljubljana to get how to say, a lot of audience. So the documentation and archiving plays a major role in this particular exhibiting. And I was also exhibiting in Circulația a month ago, maybe even less. Also thinking about just, you know, since it's trash, framed trash, and basically trash on pedestal, I think I can have an exhibition every week whenever I want. Whoever wants me, I'll be there. So it's really more of getting quantity, because, you know, it's still trash, so trash produced every day, so I'm exhibiting every day. I think it's a different approach from, you know, being an exclusive artist once per year, every few years. This, I wouldn't mind if it would just travel the world.
Did you get any maybe questions from abroad to exhibit at their galleries? I don't know. Maybe Croatia, Austria, or somewhere around Europe at least?
When we had this featured exhibition in Circulația, we're negotiating now. I mean, there are a few mails being sent back and forth for Germany.
Maybe any other questions erupted? Yeah.
Is there any symbolism in the red hat that you were wearing?
Oh, yeah, of course. This is the how did I write it? This. You make a lot of money, you're thinking you're rich, but in the end, basically, this is the meme. You're really optimistic about the Bitcoin, but when it falls, you basically you lost all your money and go back to work to McDonald's. So I had McDonald's, the same logo, like this, the same logo. Not the original logo, but from the meme logo. This was the red hat. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
If there aren't any other questions, yeah, Micha, thank you. Okay, so we are almost at the end, but last and not the least are, as Micha already said, the NFTs. Well, much more. It's time for street art, graffiti, and NFTs. Together with us will soon be Enrico Bonadio from University of London and Siri Helen Egeland from University of Agder in Norway. Yeah, probably a connection 1,000 years ago. Their forefathers would say it's impossible because probably back then Norwegians didn't know that you can actually speak with Englishmen instead of doing something else. Okay, sorry for the inappropriate joke. Maybe it's time to give the word to our last presenters. Hello, I hope you can hear us.
Yes.
Yes, and Siri Helen, can we hear you, please?
I can hear you guys.
Okay, great. We can hear you too, so you can start whenever you want.
Excellent, thank you. I'll just share the screen. Okay. May I ask you, I mean, we have like 20 minutes more or less.
Started screen sharing.
Yes, of course. You have. And you're the last one at the panel, so if you want, you can be maybe a minute longer if you want to.
Okay, thank you so much for the kind invitation. So this is a paper that Siri and I are currently working on. So it's very much a work in progress paper. So what we are interested in is to, first of all, interview street artists and graffiti writers, asking them what they think about NFTs, tokenization of their street artworks, basically, because it is not unknown. It's very well known that nowadays, increasingly, more and more street artists and, to a lesser extent, graffiti writers are looking at NFTs. In order to do what? To basically rely on an additional stream of revenues, right? Because by tokenizing their works and by selling NFTs to digital collectors, they can monetize and take economic advantage out of their creations, okay? So, first of all, we need to ask from a technical perspective, what the hell is an NFT, right? Why are people, collectors, spending so much money to buy NFTs, to collect NFTs, right? And, you know, there have been recently many cases of millions being spent to buy NFTs. Okay, NFT stands for non-fungible token. So that is to say, a unique digital identifier that cannot be copied, substituted, or subdivided, and that is recorded in a blockchain, and that is used to certify authenticity and ownership. So basically, an NFT is a digital copy of an artwork, right? The NFTs, what it does is to point to a digital copy of the artwork, right? So the NFTs, what they do is to rely on the so-called blockchain technologies. So NFTs are recorded on the blockchain, right? So the digital copy of that artwork is stored in the blockchain. There are two ways of creating NFTs, either by creating the so-called hash You know that hash is very much used nowadays by internet users, or by creating a link, a URL, right? A URL, a link to the NFTs. Well, in both cases, therefore, the NFTs do not represent the artwork itself. The NFT is not the artwork. The NFT is basically a link, in the case of the URL, which directs the public to a digital copy of the artwork on the blockchain. So we could say that, here, who is capable of creating an NFT? So there is embryonic case law. I'm thinking about a decision by the Court of Barcelona, for example, in the Mango case, which a case law which confirms that creating NFTs is a prerogative of the copyright owner, right? So in our case, the muralist, the street artist, would be capable of preventing others, third parties, from creating an NFT of their own mural, right? Because without the authorization of the artist, basically that would be a copyright infringement, right? Both the economic rights and the moral rights, because, you know, copyright gives two sets of rights to artists: the economic rights, the rights to extract economic, advantage out of the creation, and also the moral right, for example, the moral right of integrity, which means that the artist is capable of preventing others from treating her work in a manner which is prejudicial to the honor and reputation of the artist. So a muralist might not like NFTs, might not like tokenization of their mural, and therefore, if someone without her consent tokenizes her mural, this artist might feel prejudice in her honor and reputation, right? But for the economic rights violation, we need to identify whether really minting an NFT, this is the terminology used, now minting an NFT on the blockchain violates copyright. And in particular, which rights of copyright? Because copyright owners, artists, for example, they are given a set of economic rights. The right to prevent the reproduction of the artwork, the right to prevent the communication to the public of the artwork, the right to prevent the making available right of the artwork to the public. So someone doubts about whether the right of reproduction is really violated when someone mints an NFT without the authorization of the artist. Because at the end of the day, as I said, the NFT is not a reproduction of the artwork. The NFT points, for example, in the URL, is a link which directs the internet user to the copy, the digital copy, right? So someone doubts about whether there is a reproduction here. Probably there might be, and there is, a violation of the communication to the public right, because when you make available the link on the blockchain, you mint an NFT, you make available the link on the blockchain, I mean, you are making available the link. So if you don't have the permission of the copyright owner, this might represent a violation of that specific right. So having said that, we just need to understand also from a more sociological perspective, but why are people spending so much in buying a digital copy of an artwork which can be downloaded for free from the internet? So why do people spend millions to buy a specific digital copy? Well, the reason is quite clear, even if people might not understand. It's a certified digital copy. It's a certified digital copy authenticated digitally by the copyright owner, in this case by the artist, right? Or by the person authorized by the artist. The phenomenon, craze, is a way of creating digital authenticity. by collecting such NFT, you are sure that that digital copy is the one certified and authenticated by the artist. And everybody can see that on the blockchain, because the blockchain is transparent. Everybody can see. Also, when the NFTs is sold twice, 3 times, 4 times, each transaction is recognized, is transparent, is visible on the blockchain. We can see who is the owner in that particular time of the NFTs. So, NFT enthusiasts believe that this is a much secure way of collecting artworks. You don't need anymore to buy expensive canvases, store the canvases in a protected environment, buy a very expensive insurance to insure the painting. No, you don't need that, because everything is safe on the blockchain. So, of course, you pay for the NFT, but then the cost of maintenance is nil, is close to nil, because you don't have to pay insurance, you don't have to pay maintenance costs, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, of course, there are people who are not very enthusiastic of these NFTs phenomenon. These people, this school of thought, these people, they ridiculize collectors of NFTs by saying, look at these, these foolish people. They spend so much money for a digital copy that can be downloaded for free, even if it is not authenticated digitally by them. They say the NFTs is a bubble, the NFTs phenomenon is a bubble that sooner or later will burst. But so far, there has not been bust. I mean, the NFT phenomenon is still on, and people still spend so much money. So from an academic perspective, there is still interest in studying the phenomenon, even from a copyright perspective. And in our specific paper, as Siri will specifically highlight in the second part of the talks, as I said, street artists, many street artists, not all of course, but several street artists have taken this opportunity. Like many traditional artists, fine artists, but not only visual artists, I would say also musicians, poets, novelists. The range is quite big. So now I leave the floor to Siri for investigating further this phenomenon from a street art perspective.
Thank you. So what we are doing, Enrico and I, is that we are trying to write a book chapter investigating this phenomenon with the standing point of street art and graffiti. And why do we take this perspective? Why is this an interesting angle to discuss a phenomenon in the digital sphere, the NFTs? Well, the main reason is that street artists and graffiti writers are often in opposition to the established society, and hereunder, to the law and even legal structures. And in the case of Banksy, this has been quite vocally expressed, I would say. And the attitude and the view of legal rights, it gives us the chance to explore the reasoning behind copyright, the reasoning and the function of it in more depth than we could if all of the interviewees were an acceptance of the legal structure we are examining. So it gives us that opportunity to take that step back and look behind the curtain, in a sense, in a new way. And why is it important to discuss this intersection between copyright and NFTs? Well, mainly because there are so many ways of exploiting the creative works of others in this context. Street art and graffiti have a commercial appeal, and the works are very often found in the streets, which also makes them incredibly easy to access. As we see here, someone other than the artist has minted or created an NFT based on Banksy's work titled Morons, or more prosaically, I can't believe you morons actually buy this. And they've done it without permission. And they're making a lot of money from selling NFTs minted on someone else's work. So what we want to do is to investigate how this segment of the art world views the use of works as basis for creating NFTs, including how they feel that copyright is safeguarded when they meet the structures in the NFT sphere, such as platforms selling NFTs. So what experiences do street artists, graffiti writers, and curators of street art have with the use of urban art as the underlying work behind an NFT? And in connection to this, how do street artists, graffiti writers, and curators view copyright protection when underlying works are used to create or mint an NFT? Those are our main questions that we want to answer in this book chapter. The method we've chosen is both a sociological one and also a legal one, where we do semi-structured interviews with street artists, graffiti writers, and curators. Around 5 interviews, but we're still in the process here of finding interviewees. So if anyone here today or knows anyone who wants to contribute, please send us an email. We are happy to speak to as many as possible to get the best foundation for our discussions. So we want to connect the findings that we do in the interviews with legal analysis to discuss the copyright issues that Enrico has already highlighted. Some of the preliminary findings that we have through the interviews we have done is that several of the artists have experienced being contacted by more, and I would say mainly less serious corporate players who want to collaborate on projects. Everyone who has been interviewed so far has described the conflict between creating art, spending time on creating art, and getting familiar with and making use of the technology. And that also makes them a bit vulnerable to others capable of using the technology, wanting to use the art in projects. One very interesting thing, because we as lawyers or economists or whoever, from the academic perspective, we tend to divide everything into more technical blocks. So we talk about copyright being connected to the underlying work, and we talk about the NFT as something separate from the work itself. But in the thinking of the artists that we have interviewed, there seems to be a little difference between the work and the NFT. It seems to be more connected than you might think as a lawyer, as an economist. It's part of the work. The NFT or the work is made because it was supposed to be an NFT, and that influences on how the work itself is. And also, so far, no one that we have interviewed thinks it's okay if others mint NFTs on the art that they've made without permission. And as Enrique already said, here the law is also in movement on this question. Is this a prerogative of the artists themselves, or isn't it? That's one of the big questions. So we've also looked at some other uses of NFTs in street art and graffiti, and one of them is preservation purposes, where you might think that you have some sort of a recordal on the blockchain of street band pieces. You could also think about it as a way of proving your authorship to a piece, where you record the process in the blockchain. So that's also a part of the sustainability discussion going on with NFTs and the use of art in that sphere. And all of these things tie into that legal discussion that Enrico's already presented to you. Is it an infringement of copyright to mint an NFT of someone else's work? Is it an infringement of communication to the public right, infringement of moral rights? I would say probably. And the second part of the legal discussion, relating directly to street art and graffiti, is there a reason to treat street art and graffiti differently from other types of art in the NFT context? In principle, no. It should be the same. But then there is that little nagging question, what if the work has been put up illegally? I don't know if you want to jump in here, Enrico.
Yeah, in the case of an artwork made illegally, we have advocated in the past that, of course, illegally created street art should be protected by copyright anyway. And a corollary of this principle is that minting an NFT of an illegally created mural should be okay, should be fine. The NFT could and should be free to be sold, to be collected, and we are very liberal on this specific point. we do believe that the process of creation of an artwork, legally, illegal, without the authorization of the owner of the wall, with authorization, no matter, is not really relevant when it comes to protecting the mural via copyright law. And also when it comes to tokenizing the illegally created work and relying on an additional stream of revenues, even when the work, the underlying work, the mural, has been created illegally. That's our position.
That is our position. So yeah, that was it. That was the presentation, and thank you so much for having us.
We are, of course, open and happy to receive questions and comments.
Yes, any questions maybe? Yes.
Hi, Sandy here. Just another quick question. I know that it's a work in progress, but the first question would be, did you find any differences when discussing this topic with artists or other actors in if they narrate any differences in this period where there was a big hype about NFTs and this decline of NFTs? And the second question would be, you usually kind of find cases where the court has already ruled precedences, and were there any on this specific topic?
Okay, with reference to the last question, there have been cases, as I said, not strictly related to street art, but on NFTs in general. For example, in Barcelona, there has been a ruling because an artwork, a visual artwork, a fine artwork actually, was used by a fashion company, Spanish fashion company, Mango, as an NFT. So basically they minted the NFT without asking the authorization. And that was an interim decision. So it was an urgent decision. So it was not the final decision on the merit. But this gives already an idea of how the courts are treating NFTs by saying that it is arguably a copyright infringement, minting an NFT of an underlying visual artwork without the authorization of the artist. Then there has been another case in England last year, but it was a case of just property, like NFTs were basically stolen from a digital wallet. And the High Court in London said that NFTs should be considered a form of property. Not intellectual property, but property like, you know, you own money, you own a house, you own a car, you own now NFTs, digital copies, right? Authenticated digital copies. So there is also an analogy underlined by the court, in this case in London, an analogy between, you know, property over a house, property of a tangible good, and the property of an NFT. And then there was a case in China, Big Verse case last year, where Big Verse, the platform, was condemned for giving the platform for the sale of NFTs without authorization of the copyright owner. So even platforms, which are usually intermediaries, no? OpenSea, there are several of these intermediaries where you can buy and sell, right, NFTs. Well, platforms in some circumstances, so these intermediaries, may be condemned for copyright infringement if they facilitate the trade of NFTs without the authorization of the copyright owner. So it seems from this embryonic case law that courts, judges around the world, Spain, UK, China, are considering NFTs as a form of property, intellectual property, or property, normal property. So we will see how this will play out in the future, but these are the early signs of the case law.
Yeah, I can try to answer the first question. I mean, there has been an economic bubble bursting a bit connected to the NFTs. And when I've talked to artists, many of them are positive in a sense to this happening, because it may sift out all of the people just there to speculate. And that will also have an effect on how many scammers or people without realistic projects are out there trying to get artists involved. So the hope is that the more that this technology is used and the less the speculation element comes in the forefront, it actually becomes more what it set out to be in the beginning, a more direct line between artist and fan, or artist and collector, and a more democratic way in the sense of spreading your art to a different and wider public. So that's, you were asking about narrative, Sandy, and I think that that's probably the best answer I can give, but there is some sort of optimism connected to the economic aspect of this failing in a sense. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maybe any other question? If not, let us conclude this year's conference. I would like to thank you very much for joining us for the last presentation. And before we really conclude and go, I would like to invite you also on Šiška Graffiti Tour, which will be at 6 p.m. today and tomorrow here just in front of Kino Šiška we will start. Also tomorrow there will be a graffiti jam from 1 to 8 p.m. at Metelkova, which will continue on Saturday. You're also very welcome to come there. There will be also 3 workshops held. Plus, if we don't see you tomorrow, please come by on Saturday for the concert and skate session and party with DJ Nasty Nancy and Selgor. And of course, don't forget, on Sunday we will really conclude with an exhibition, mysterious exhibition called Hidden in the Underground. The location will be known on Sunday, when you will know everything. Okay, so as far as the sustainability is concerned, maybe first thing for the next year we can think of some sustainable spray cans for graffiti art. This might be a good start, but otherwise, let us thank Kino Šiška, especially the technical crew that's been with us since the morning. Thank you very much. And great thanks for the conference also go to Dr. Sandy Abram and Dr. Erik Ušić, and also to all of the lecturers and presenters today. Hopefully we see you again next year in, well, maybe a bit cleaner environment. Thank you all and have a great day.